Welcome, everyone. I am Fredrik Knudsen, and I am joined this evening, very early morning for us. I am joined by SimasTV.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Hope you guys are having a great day so far.
The format for this is there are 6 empires, 6 human-controlled empires that have been spawned in this galaxy. Each of them have been given backgrounds, but what they do with these backgrounds and these setups is up to them. There are quite a few things that have been set up by our Galaxy Master of Shadows, DJTruthsayer. Would you introduce yourself?
Hello. Welcome along. We are now going to introduce the teams again. We're going to start at the beginning. So, very quickly, Team 1 is Acebeck and the wonderful Templin Institute. Please introduce yourself, guys.
Hi. Hello. Do you want an introduction to the Empire or us personally?
Yes. Quick intro to the Empire.
Oh, man, okay. Centuries ago, the Divine Emperor Imperium ruled this galaxy. I've done this intro already. You threw me off balance.
I know.
We ruled the galaxy, and we will do so again. All of you will serve us as slaves.
There we go. So, moving on to Team 2. We have Stefan and Door Monster. Please say hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So, tell us a little bit about your Empire.
We're the Xumans. We're a hive mind. We're out looking to make some new friends, and just kind of see what's out there, and that's pretty much the part that I know about. Stefan, you can take it from here.
We are one and the same. I know as little as you do.
Good point.
So moving on to Team 3, we have MaxTheCatfish and Wintergaming. Hello there.
Hello, we are the Imperial Chocolat Covenant. And for 2,200 years after, as the Emperor knows, refining our beautiful, smooth chocolate taste, we've expanded into other sectors and other parts of the galaxy. So not only for your chocolate needs, you should also come here for anything you need. The Imperial Chocolate Covenant can survive and thrive. So anything you need, call us first. Thank you.
Okay, so Team 4 is the wonderful Spiff and Ben. So hello, say hello, gentlemen.
Hello. We are from the Refuge, not Refuse. And we are here to look after all of your needs. We are designing the perfect computer game to hook you all up into, and you can spend the rest of your lives being taken care of and enjoying the wonderful gameplay of Yog Ventures 5 as soon as we've finished QAing the development. It'll be ready soon, TM.
You do need 1 or 2 QA testers, don't you?
We need a few more. Yeah, it's a very big game. It's got a little out of hand.
Somewhere in the region of 100,000 to 100 billion more QA testers. And we'll be getting those QA testers one way or another.
Well, we'll see, shall we? So, moving on to Team 5, we have the wonderful BurkeBlack starting out for Team 5. Hello there, Burke.
Hello. I am the Great Root of the Antharian Republic of Beautification. We want to bring beauty back to the galaxy. So, we are democratic and will be friends with all. Just please come to us so you accept our advice on how to better make yourselves more beautiful, because right now you're quite ugly, and we can fix that for you. Thank you.
Perfect. And last but not least, we have a German language team as part of the event, which we're super happy about. And starting out representing them is Dirty Devil. Hello there, Dirty.
Hello there, and shall I say good evening, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah.
I am the ambassador of the Avarian Alliance right now. Let me say we have been missing from the galaxy for about 2,000 years, and I'm absolutely happy to be back, and I hope there's still enough space for us to make us a bit big, and of course, we could need a few residents to work for us in our mines, because we kind of lost the ability to do so.
Yeah. So, there's story for every empire. there is all sorts of different things that will be happening throughout the course of the event. Simas and Fred will be your guides on the Paradox channel, and we will move into the game. Have fun and good luck, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Soon.
Thank you very much. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be rather interesting. I am very interested to see, so there's a lot that we don't know just starting out. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, because we have 6-player empires, and we have a number of more minor AI empires. And let's go ahead and look at the starting positions of everyone. Just to start, we have the, what do they call themselves? The Imperial Chocolat Covenant. They are starting out on, let's move in. Here we go. On a habitat. They're starting out with a couple of industrial districts. They do have a pretty nice starting system given the amount that there's the amount of resources that they're starting with. That's 23 energy credits, 16 minerals, and 5 engineering. So not as much research, but their economy is going to get kickstarted pretty well.
What they do have going for them, though, is that they have the Voidborn start, which means that they have 3 habitats. Every other player that does not have this type of start only has 1 home location, essentially. They have 3, which means that they will be producing population 3 times faster than any of the other players until the other players get their first homeworld.
Now, they do have a 10% penalty to pop growth, but honestly, considering the fact that they have 3 different habitats that are building pops, it's not a big deal. Plus, they've even offset it with rapid breeders, so it's hardly an issue.
That is true.
Let's go ahead and check out the next player empire, the Refuge. These boys are our, here we go, let's roll in. These are our, what do you call them? They're a special kind of machine empire. They're a rogue servitor. What have they started with? They've started with mandatory pampering for all rapid replicators, so faster assembly speed, and of course, one of the civics is a rogue servitor, and that's going to affect them quite a bit. Their starting system looking not nearly as good, but still reasonably strong. 13 energy credits and 14 minerals to start off with.
With the Refuge, I'd also invite you to look north of their capital.
Are you talking about Beetlejuice?
Further north. Keep going north. You're nowhere near north enough yet.
All right, looking.
Where's the next empire?
It is, they have quite a bit of room to expand. In fact, they are they are going to have to go extremely wide, and in fact, they also have the Merchant Guild nearby. They have 3 wormholes.
The Friendship Committee?
Hey, no, look at the wormholes.
Yeah. No. Go and look at the empire up north.
Yes.
Trust me. Look at the empire north of.
Oh.
And look at the hyperlane connections.
Do they? Oh no!
They have to go through them.
There you go. Now you've worked it out. Right,
cruel man. They're going to be locking in the Friendship Committee, and in fact, why don't we make that our next focus?
Now, that being the Friendship Committee, that is one of the AI-controlled empires. Being that it is an AI-controlled empire, the players are allowed to go to war with that empire. And that is going to be a very big benefit for this machine race. If they can manage to get themselves a ring world, that is going to be a huge boon to them. In fact, that might boost them up to first place if they manage to get this soon. However, they don't know it exists. They don't know it's here yet.
Not
so
yet.
They're going to have to expand outwards and search for it first.
Now, something that's important to know about the new patch is that the way that empires are introduced to each other has been radically altered. Specifically, you don't know everything that is inside of another empire's borders right off the bat. However, something that we want to keep in mind is that this is a friendship committee. You know what? Let's take a look at their empire. Let's take a closer look.
You are right that you have very little information whenever you need to do empire. However, you do see and know what their homeworld is.
You do, yes, and you're right. That will be immediately obvious. The term friendship committee is perhaps a little bit misleading. They are militarist xenophobes. Yeah, all right, fair enough, DJ. Now let's go ahead and check out Mr. BurkeBlack's empire here. Obviously multiple people, but he is the one in charge. This is the Antharian Republic of Beautification. They are starting out on a tropical world. They've got a nice balance. I think they're going to stay pretty balanced until they recognize where they are. But one thing that we should really look at is the sort of situation that they're starting out on. They've got a really nice little corner of the galaxy here with a few nice choke points. If they can get to Miram and build that up, they will be able to stay pretty safe. They also have 2 dark matter at the Zurikan black hole. They've got 3 rare crystals, which is going to be absolutely lovely if they decide to build tall, and quite a few habitable worlds around as well. And that is a tropical world, that's a tropical world, that's an ocean world, but it's wet enough at the very least. They have quite a bit that they can build out to.
They have 3 black holes near their starting location, and 2 of which have the L gate. Now, I won't spoil what the L gate does, because there are players who are in chat who don't know all the events of the game, but having those there makes it very interesting depending on what happens mid-game.
Why don't we continue introducing everyone? Because we have 3 more player empires to introduce. Let's take a look at the Avarian Alliance. They're starting out on Hades in the Tortuga system. couldn't help himself, could he? That's just fine. I'm perfectly happy with it. Let's take a look at his starting position. At their starting position, they start out right next to a desert world that they've already discovered. Definitely going to move out to that one. 19 districts. And what do their hyperlanes look like? Well, they've got some alloys up here, alloys down here, extra few alloys, a gateway right away. We don't get to know where that one goes. Like, we don't get to see where the gateways go immediately.
The gateways actually connect to any gateway that you own.
Right. My bad.
That's okay.
Excuse me. I was thinking wormholes.
There is a wormhole.
I was very
far away. In fact, there's actually 2 wormholes.
It's true.
There, each of which seems to go a considerable distance.
This does mean, and I'd like to point out, with all of the gateways everywhere, because we were saying there are a lot of gateways. Everyone is going to be very close to one another once the gateways are researched. Let's look at sort of the main character for the weekend. This is the Divine Imperium, starting in the Grey Skull system. They are starting on a relic world, of course, because this used to be the capital of the entire galaxy before the hyperlanes went slack. Where is their Unity going? They are going down the discovery tree right off the bat. Typically, I think the 2 ways that people tend to go are either expansion or discovery, but they are going discovery immediately, perhaps because they're interested in boosting their research as much as possible to eventually turn this relic world into an ecumenopolis. And they're going to discover quite a few nice things around them. In fact, there is a megastructure in Voom. What is that? An interstellar assembly. You know what? Of course. Because the interstellar assembly would be close to the old capital. They also have some dark matter next to them. A few exotic gases to get things started. They also have some Zro. And I am curious, what are their ethics? They are spiritualist, and they're going to be able to take advantage of that. Specifically, they also are an imperial cult and a feudal society which is very interesting. They are going to likely be looking to make use of it. In fact, I can't help but wonder if part of the reason they want to expand out faster is so they can bring others into the fold sooner.
Having this interstellar assembly, once it is constructed and completed, well, rather repaired, it will allow this empire to essentially throw around way more weight in the galactic community than any other empire can. And it will also give them more envoys. Those envoys will allow them to do a number of things, increase their standing with other empires. It will allow them to, which is something we haven't discussed yet, espionage. It will allow them to spy on and do subterfuge on more empires than anyone else will.
And I think that's maybe something, yeah, that's maybe something that we should introduce to everyone before we move on to Stefan's Xuman Overmind. Would you introduce some of the espionage mechanics for just a moment?
So once you meet an empire, you will be able to initiate dialogue with them, and how you've initiated dialogue will depict how you have your espionage build. So you can either be, depending on what your settings for your empire are, you could either have friendly interactions, neutral interactions, or hostile interactions. And how you end that the chain of events will dictate how well your espionage will work on that enemy empire or the other empire, whether they're your enemy or not. Once you have found the other empire, you can put your envoy into the other empire as a spy, and will build a spy network to allow you to do a number of things. It will allow you to build intelligence on them, which is very important, especially in the early game, because at the beginning, with this new contact system that they have in Nemesis, you know next to nothing about the other empire. You don't know what planets they have. You don't know how many population they have. You don't know what their ethics are. You don't know what their diplomatic status is. You pretty much know nothing except for where their homeworld is and where you met their first ship. That's pretty much it. So the espionage system is a great way for players to find out more information and maybe cause a little bit of trouble along the way.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That is an excellent summation. Now, we, of course, both have had time to play with the new patch and with the expansion. And so we've been acquainting ourselves with it over time and getting to know everything. Something that the players might not universally be doing. Excuse me. I'm sorry I interrupted myself, but as we move on to introduce the empires, we finally have perhaps the scariest empire, Stefan and Annon, playing the Xuman Overmind. This is Stefan is easily one of the best players. Easily.
Those of you who had joined us in the previous Stellaris event, the Necroids, you'll know that Stefan, given free reign, was able to play the game so well that he ended up being the crisis before crises, before the ability for players to become a crisis even existed.
Yes, I'd like to point out, the reason that I stumbled was because I saw a 30-34 system over here, but that was the Dragon's Horde.
Interesting. I'm looking at Stefan's world, and I've noticed that he's changed it. He has, at the beginning, the buildings that you have at the start of the game will include a number of important structures. And he has not only built extras, but he has removed some and replaced them, all with technology, which kind of gives you a great indication of what it is he's going to be focusing on, which is very much science. Being a hive mind, normally you wouldn't depict a hive mind being the smartest, because anytime I think of hive mind, I think of Clendathu, but this is going to be very interesting. I don't know what the other empires have planned for their homeworlds. I would actually like to take a quick look around and see what everybody else may be planning. Because Stefan has 3 science buildings, and so far, every other empire only has 1.
Going with what they started with, the part of the advantage of a hive mind is that you do not need any, you don't need consumer goods to start moving into research. All it takes is minerals, and so you saw that he was also working on making some mining districts to shore up his low mineral output. Whereas in these other places, we have a focus on industry over for the Imperial Chocolat Covenant. For the Refuge, let's take a peek. He's, again, just kind of going with a pretty normal setup here, building out his bio trophies. I am at, like, obviously they are going to normally expand out. They are going to give him quite a bit of extra Unity game, and I'm interested to see which direction he goes with his Unity. You know what? Let's check right now. Starting out with Discovery as well. Going for technological already took an Ascension perk. Beautiful.
Let me take a look at this. Oh, I am seeing that A-Spec is currently invading a planet.
Invading? Oh, he is invading some primitives immediately.
He is.
That, I think, is the correct decision. Just nab that as quickly as possible.
Now,
no problem.
For those who may not be aware, once you have invaded a primitive world, you will get this nasty debuff called Stellar Culture Shock, which lasts 10 years, which, one, reduces the stability and the resource of those jobs by a lot. But number two, you cannot move populations off of that planet. So you must immediately move people to that planet to suppress and give them amenities. If you don't have that, you're going to be stuck at 0 stability, which will end up causing you a riot. Once it does riot, if you do not take care of that, that will become essentially a spacefaring empire right next to you at the start of the game, which can be pretty bad, but I believe in A-Spec's ability to quell these primitives.
He knows what he's doing.
The Divine Imperium is spawning next to the Fallen Empire.
Yeah, I mentioned that. They're a xenophile empire. Don't worry. Pretty chill. Nothing to really worry about there.
I don't know about you, but I have done my fair share of upsetting fallen empires and having quite a bit of retribution. Hello, DJ.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Just going to join for a few minutes, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Certainly.
Jump in as DM. And we've had some questions from chat regarding the goals that the different empires have. So, for the Divine Imperium of A-Spec and Templin, their day one goal is to reclaim what they can of their empire. They may conquer 2 AI empires near them, and then vassalize whoever they can. So that's their day one goal. Team 2, which is Stefan's team, their day one goal, people don't seem to believe me, but day one goal for Stefan: make friends.
That
well, we already have a problem.
Difficult one to do.
You may bring 2 empires, 2 AI empires under your protection, but apart from that, you must meet as many of the races of the galaxy as you can, make friends, and try and find a way home. So that's Team 2's goal. Team 3,
when we say find a way home, should we perhaps elaborate?
I think you should, after I'll go through these, and then yes, I think you should perhaps very much elaborate upon that. For the Imperial Chocolat Covenant, re-establish the Chocolate Church in as many empires as possible, and cozy up to the old empire. Team 4's public goal, 1 second, just opening this, pamper as many populations as possible by any means necessary. Reclaim the top secret off-site QA center. That might be the Ringworld to the north of them. BurkeBlack's Team 5, their public goal is gotta catch 'em all. Have one of every species that you can get into your empire by the end of day 1 and unlock full genetic modification.
That's and then an interesting one to get.
Yeah,
a little tricky. Might have to dip into the slave market to do that one.
And then Team 6's goal is to add the Death Cult Civic, and alongside that to try and follow one of the 3 ascension paths of their choice.
Understood.
So those are the day 1 goals for each of the empires, everybody.
Fairly straightforward. And of course, they have secret goals that, quite frankly, neither I nor Simas are privy to.
Nope,
That
I've
is
hidden
true.
them even from you two.
We don't, there's a remarkable amount that we do not know going into this.
Yes, on purpose, so that you can discover it with the audience.
Yeah, every time you come in, I'm definitely going to clench a little bit.
Well, seeing as the wrenches you threw into the last event, I'm waiting for the next twist of events.
There's several, is all I will say to that. Don't worry, there
believe you.
are several things that should happen throughout the course of the event. So, with that being said, everybody, I'm going to leave again. Fred will probably take you through, Friend Simas will probably take you through some of the backstories that are pertinent and are important. And yeah, have a lovely day, everybody. I'll see you all soon.
We'll be hearing lots on the main channel from all of our different players. But yeah, let's take a little bit of time to go into the backstories, which I did have a hand in writing, thank you very much, and I had a darn good time. The background to this whole galaxy is a little bit odd. Once upon a time, that is to say 2,200 years ago, the Divine Imperium, that is to say this empire, being run by A-Spec, was actually the one that was running the entire galaxy, stretched all the way from one tip to the other. But then, after a failed experiment, which we will get into, the hyperlanes collapsed, and for 2,200 years, every star has been isolated from the other. Now, suddenly, all of the hyperlanes have reattached themselves in a new weave, and they are venturing out into the stars again. And it's interesting to see where all of these different empires or groups of people, as it were, built out. So first, obviously, we have the Imperial Chocolat Covenant. They were responsible for the chocolate that the Emperor ate. Now, the Emperor was incredibly decadent toward the end of the Empire's reign. And specifically, he had a very dignified palate, and he always could be found nibbling on chocolate, so much so that when he addressed his trillions of subjects, they would see him with a glass of drinking chocolate in his hand. And so chocolate became an almost religious symbol, and altars would be given over to essentially offerings to the Emperor. And all of it came from these habitats, which were set up to make the Emperor's chocolate. Now, they became so prosperous that they essentially were colonies by the time the hyperlanes fell. So, by the time the hyperlanes all came apart, they were just fine. They just retrofitted their growing beds to make food and nibbled at their chocolate. Let's take a look. Where do we want to go next? The Refuge is interesting. So the Refuge actually takes place, you might notice, well, look at this. What's this? Luna? Mercury? So, in case you couldn't tell, this is Earth, or what once was Earth. Earth was the seat of government for some time, but eventually all of the dignitaries passed all of their duties down to the point that Earth became a pleasure planet. And in fact, a lot of people loved just playing video games. That was the biggest and most important pastime, and the robots were eventually given over to making those as well. The way I put it, you know what? I have the document. Here we go. Yeah, the Yogg's cast are playing the rogue servitors, but as they entered the beta phase, the hyperlanes collapsed, and since only the pampered were left on Earth, there was nobody to test the ever-growing spaghetti code of Yogg Ventures 5. Development had to continue, but without testers, the game bloated with untested and unstable features. If only the hyperlanes would reopen so that new testers could be found. Who do we have next? Let's take a look. let's do Stefan's empire real quick. The Xuman Overmind. They are rather important. In fact, they are crucial to why the hyperlanes fell. While the empire spanned from one corner of the galaxy to the other, there were yet pockets that were poorly explored. And in one of these, a race of powerful psionics existed and thrived, though in a way that would seem utterly alien to any other. Had this race the desire, they could have overturned the galactic order and conquered it in a matter of decades, but material pleasures disinterested them. Rather, they made their home in the Shroud, a realm so hostile that simply entering it challenged the greatest of the Empire's specialists. But this blindness to the material proved their undoing. When the Empire's psionics learned of this race's existence and recognized their vast power and potential, they petitioned the Emperor to allow for experimentation. If successful, the psionics theorized that the power generated would be safer, more available, and many times more abundant than even that of a Dyson sphere. The Emperor gave his consent. The Holy Psionic Order worked tirelessly until, eventually, they discovered that the Xumans would commune at one particular location in the Shroud on a regular basis, as much as a location or regularity can exist there. And it was at this nexus point that they would transmute these creatures into a near-infinite power supply, utilizing an explosive psionic device. However, when this device was detonated, the consequences would shatter the Empire as well. This nexus point in the Shroud was not arbitrary. It served as the locus that tied together every hyperlane linking the stars, and when this point was struck, the hyperlanes came unspooled and went slack, stranding every colony from one another. But this hidden race of psionics suffered a worse fate. In this explosion, their consciousnesses were fused into a great hive mind, stuck static in the Shroud, and each individual consciousness tied irrevocably to its body in ways that they had never experienced. In this state, the fledgling hive mind nursed themselves back from the trauma of this abuse and desperately sought to balance the millions of voices inside of them. However, hive minds may not roam the Shroud freely, even as they use it to coordinate their vast consciousnesses, and so, this great and powerful child was barred from its home by virtue of its very being. Desperate, they spent the intervening hundreds of years dedicated to scientific advancement, searching for some way to once again enter and roam their home. And now, as the hyperlanes grow taut once again, they tentatively seek out others that might help them in their bid to fight their fate. They are directly tied to the fall of the hyperlanes and the reason that everything kind of sucks. But it's not their fault. They just want, and so when their goal is to go home, that means to go home to the Shroud.
Interesting.
And
how does one get home to the Shroud?
That's a good question, and Stefan's going to have to figure that out for himself. Stefan and help.
That sounds like it's not going to end well for everyone else.
Hello, DM introduction. DM.
Hello.
Our first contact has happened between
Oh
players.
dear.
Well, let's
And
go
I'm
over the first
really
contact then.
confused and don't know how this has happened. But somehow Stefan has made first contact with a spec.
Okay.
That's very odd, seeing as they are on opposite sides of the
Opposite
galaxy.
sides of the galaxy, yes, quite. But if you look up into the player call room, you will see that a meeting is being set up. So I believe we are to jump in there.
Let's
and
go be a fly on the wall.
flies on the wall, yeah.
We'll be there.
Hello.
Hello.
Rah!
Are we here? Yes. Hi. Are
The
these
humans.
Is this the humans?
We are the Divine Imperium, and yes, we are humans, but we will soon be many.
You'll be many?
We have already incorporated our first extrasolar species back into the Empire. You will join them soon enough, I assure you.
Oh, okay. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, it's going to be great for everyone. You can work in our slave pits. I mean, fun pits.
That's a good word.
The fun pit sounds fun. I don't know so much about the slave pit.
Forget the whole slave pit entirely. I don't know why I said that, I assure you.
Oh, well, hey, look, I mean, that might be cool. We just, we haven't, I don't know if you remember us. We briefly met like a while back.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of like a convention thing. Like we were all meeting up, and then you guys showed up, and then you were there briefly, and then we suddenly had bodies.
Yeah.
And we were like ethereal before that, I guess. And now we're physical.
Right.
And that was weird, and we don't know what to do about that. But so
all I'm hearing is vile Theo nonsense.
Well, we were in the shroud, and we're looking to get back to it, and you're the only things that we knew existed outside of us, so we wanted to know if you knew how to fix that.
We do? We know all, but we won't be telling you, I can assure you.
Oh, well, why not?
Oh.
You have yet to be incorporated back into the Imperium. As soon as you join the Imperium, all will be revealed, and all will be made better.
Oh. Okay,
well that's easy.
We might be able to do that. We probably have to get across the galaxy to you first, though, right?
Oh, yes, indeed. Come over here. We'll open the gates for you. You just walk right into the factories, get to work, and then we'll tell you how to get back to the whatever it was.
Okay. That's a path forward. That's an option. It's good to know that exists.
It sounds.
We can talk about that internally and then like get back to you guys and then.
Oh yes, of course. Take all the time you need. It's been 2,000 years after all. Who's in a rush now?
That's true. We're very I mean, it's you will take
the gifts.
It's excruciating
the
hearing
gift baskets though.
Because we're like a hive mind.
We
do have gift baskets.
Do you like the gift basket?
What is in the gift baskets?
So either dark or milk chocolate, really depending on your preference. And we also have some bath bombs, and there was some fruit on the table. We took the fruit out. I'm sorry. And then I think there was talk of explosives. If that's something that's interesting to you.
No.
Or is that just for the dragon?
That was for the dragon.
Okay.
So no explosives in the chocolate, is what I'm hearing.
Now it appears to be just chocolate. What was it?
And bath. I think it's mostly just chocolate and bath bombs. We had a lot of both of those.
I have to be honest. Usually we hate all Xenos and wish to use them as slaves, but these gift baskets are very much winning me over. No white chocolate though. Why is that? That's my favorite.
Oh, we don't really know what that is exactly. We mostly just copied stuff that we found left behind from you guys. Is there a white version?
Yes, you know about milk chocolate and dark chocolate, but not white. No, it's fine. The gift baskets seem fine. I mean, I'll take them. What flavor what flavor? What scent of bath bomb?
Pink.
Yeah, they are.
Pink?
It's pink and like just a little bit. It's like
with the rose petals.
Yeah.
Okay, how long have you been corporeal? You said you used to be energy.
Yes.
It's been
We spent a few centuries. I don't know exactly how long, but like we spent a little while figuring out like how time works, and then I don't. It's because it's hard to tell.
And one of the first things you developed was bath bombs upon gaining physical form.
Yeah, I guess so.
There was high demand amongst.
I mean, I think that's great. I'm super impressed. Super impressed.
And like we also have public access TV, and
two greatest inventions.
Yes.
Of our time.
Bath bombs, and public access TV, and milk chocolate. No white chocolate. It feels like you've hit most of the major points. I'm gonna, of course, need to confer with the rest of the Imperial Divine Council over here, but we'll get back to you real quick. You're gonna love it.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. It
was thank you. Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah. So it was these two. So it was the Imperium up at the very north tippy top, and the Xumans at the very bottom, that just made contact with each other. Weirdly enough.
Now that these two empires have met, are they going to be friendly? Or are they going to be aggressive towards each other? It sounds like they're going to be having friendly intentions, but is that really what's going to be happening?
Well, let's take a look. Let's go to contacts. And let's go to the Xuman Overmind. Have they done any espionage? You freaking bet they're starting espionage.
I see that their envoys are already building spy networks.
Perhaps
and improving
unsurprising.
relations, but are also doing spy networks.
That is very important to note. They're playing both sides, and I think that makes sense. They have the envoys to do it. How many envoys do they have right now?
Now that they're building these spy networks, I'm really curious to see what it is they're going to do with it. Are they just going to gain information, or are they going to try to sow some chaos in the enemy empire? Or other empire? And they're not necessarily enemies, although, you know, in the grand scheme of things, usually whenever I play, everybody's an enemy. Well, I believe that they'll be making those decisions based off of who it is they find next and how close the other empire is. A-Spec only has 2 envoys to use, however, Stefan has 4, so being that he has twice as many, he has a lot more wiggle room on who it is he wants to investigate, who it is he wants to make friends. Well, seeing as Stefan is trying to be friends with everybody as their main goal, I don't think that he will be doing anything overtly aggressive or even subversive to other empires, at least not without our knowledge, not without us paying attention.
Now, the Xuman Empire have decided to launch an espionage campaign on the Divine Imperium. So while they are rather boring and simple on the surface, they're basically covering all of their bases. Oh dear. Okay, asteroid event right off the bat, but that's being taken care of. It's always pleasant when you have the asteroid event and then your station takes care of it for you.
Another first contact has happened.
Oh, perfect.
Team 1 and 3 have made first contact, so we're just setting that up just to let you know that will be organized in the near future.
This is the voice of the Divine Imperium. Do you read my transmission?
I believe we're hearing you, Your Reverence, Your Grace. What is it nowadays? What
the time of your salvation is at hand.
I'm very excited. It's been so long since we last talked to you. It's been 2,200 years.
Too long.
Far too long. Did you know we came up with an entirely new brand of chocolate just for you?
What brand would that be?
Well, we've been telling people it's called Brenda's Secret after our chief executive chocolatologist, our CEC. But
So Brenda's Secret?
Yes, but we've just been holding on to it, waiting for this day and our chance to once again serve the Empire as best we can. We've been developing our infrastructure, and we're here at your command, Emperor. I'm excited to have this opportunity to speak to you again.
And I am loving the attitude here today. This is great. I couldn't be happier to reestablish communications with you, but I do need to bring a word of warning.
Anything.
Have you encountered the Xuman Overmind?
I've heard of them.
They are encroaching on your dominion, and I need you to be sitting down for this. When we made first contact, they offered us gift baskets full of chocolate. Not from you, but of their own creation.
Let me talk for a second to my chief operating chocolate. Max,
it is a lot to take
this?
in.
I'm sorry. I'm going to put my best people on this.
I am particularly concerned about this origin of this chocolate. And Emperor, if I were you, I would not be tasting any of it.
Oh no, they didn't even have white chocolate, which I specifically requested.
My goodness.
Amateurs. Okay. It's good to be dealing with professionals again, Emperor.
I can't. Such a great attitude from you guys. It's been a long millennia, and so many of the people we meet nowadays they don't want to come back into the fold. I don't get it, but here we are. We can work with you. We'll get those trade agreements all going. It's going to be great.
All right. I am so excited to work with you again, Emperor, and praise be, and may you have great success in this life and the next.
The voice wills it, and the Imperium will endure. That's our traditional sign-off, so we can...
Over and out.
Over and out. Thanks so much. See ya.